It's September 2001, a month which would have in store the most devastating day in American history, where New York and the rest of the country would be brought to its knees. On that same fateful day, Jay-Z, the biggest rapper at the time, is about to drop the most highly anticipated album of his career.
September 10th, 2001, my album was to come out the next day. I turned the TV on, and it looked like a movie to me. It didn't look like anything. It could be real. So the last thing I was thinking about was an album.
The Brooklyn-born artist who was very much in his prime, a king without a fully formed crown, still looking for a mid-career masterpiece to transition him from the block to the boardroom. He was about to release The Blueprint, his sixth studio album that would also go down in history for far different reasons. In this video, I'll be discussing the ironies of Jay-Z dropping The Blueprint on this day, and how the timing of these events coinciding with each other paint a much bigger picture. 2001 was shaping out to be a hectic and busy year for Jay. In the midst of a rap beef with Nas and Mobb Deep, he was awaiting 2 criminal trials, one for assault and another for firearm possession.
Jay-Z turned himself in tonight and the cops started working on his rap sheet, accusing him of a stabbing at a trendy party.
I don't want people to think that it's just everything is bounce, or can I get a hard knock life, you know what I mean? I have my dark days also, you know?
In June, he won the Best Male Hip Hop Artist at the BET Awards. As he geared up to drop The Blueprint on the back end of the year, he performed at the Summer Jam Takeover, where he brought out the megastar Michael Jackson, a major feat which no other rapper had ever done, perfectly aligned in anticipation for his mega album, which was to follow 2 months later. The Blueprint was due to be released on September the 18th, but it was brought forward by a week to prevent the project from getting bootlegged. Jay woke up on that day expecting it to be business as usual, and with the rest of New York, he was fully caught off guard, as what was about to happen would change the world forever.
Okay, it sounds like we have some breaking news to tell you about out of New York.
Anyone that had major plans on a day like this would assume those plans will be down in the dumps if something tragic like this was to happen on the same day. This was far from the case with the Marcy House's raised rapper. The events on this day hardly affected The Blueprint's sales, as it sold close to 500,000 copies in its first week. While the heart of American capitalism had been shattered, causing the country to shut down for days, people were still lining up to get their hands on Jay-Z's album.
And just a lot of my friends were from like the New York, Jersey area. They were calling frantically, making sure their people was okay. All I remember was classes was canceled after that. Somehow the mall was still open. And I knew, The Blueprint had dropped that day. So I still was like, well, I'm gonna make it to the mall. And I did. That kind of helped me get through some of the shit that was going on in the world, like an escape. Like the music was that good.
The irony of these two events lies in the context of the music. Despite the tragedy that had just occurred, people have said that the album played a role in helping them come to terms with the devastating events as a rugged New York soundtrack that expressed the raw realities of life. The lyrics were not about healing or peace, they were about getting money and living lavishly. The Blueprint was Jay-Z's most materialistic and business-orientated album yet. He wasn't just a rapper anymore, he was a business in himself.
The whole thing, landed a free home and a braid, that whole thing of you could come here and pull yourself up out of bootstraps, like that whole thing of what America's always put out to the world that we represent is, I feel that, yes, I've lived that, yeah.
The Blueprint was a true portrayal of American capitalism, taking listeners on a ride through tales of his rags to riches story. He painted vivid pictures of sipping champagne on a yacht in the same Hudson River where people had just witnessed smoke casing Manhattan. This same capitalism was the very foundation that the two towers stood for, promising endless prosperity to all who dared to pursue it. Jay's masterpiece stayed at #1 for 3 weeks in a row, while many movie releases tanked and TV shows were scrapped due to the events.
It's like Once you get over the fact that hip-hop isn't going anywhere and it's a music and it's a rebellious voice from all the younger people and all the younger people from ghettos, and it's what people, it touches people, you know what I mean? It affects so many aspects of life, like, you know, clothing and, you know, just everything, you know what I mean? It's not just music, it's a culture.
Even in the aftermath of this dark time, when we finally came to terms with what happened, and while America was being attacked for its Western values, people couldn't resist the allure of a hip-hop album that represented the authenticity of the American dream. As the rescue and recovery began, Jay donated $1 from every ticket sold on the Blueprint tour to the relief efforts. A few days into the tour, he would rap a freestyle where he dropped metaphors about the streets and politics that were going on at the time.
I'm still cracking, I will not lose, I simply refuse. I dropped the same date as the twin. I show power, still I show compassion for others, and money and flowers. Devote hours, I live in a struggle, I'm addicted to the hustle.
In 2009, Boothe put on a benefit tour at Madison Square Garden, where he honored the fallen heroes and the resilience of New Yorkers on that day.
And I saw footage of these heroic actions, people running into buildings and saving each other. And I just saw the strength of New York. It was only right to revisit the day. And this is my chance to do something to help out.
The irony of Jay-Z releasing the Blueprint on this day is powerful and symbolic. While the country was suffering the huge loss from that day, Jay-Z's The Blueprint gave people hope and served as a therapeutic tool for the people, exemplifying the power of hip-hop, a genre which was once demonized, now coming to America's aid when it was at its worst. For Jay himself, it was his duty to not only reap the benefits of the album, but most importantly, to help build back his beloved city in any way he could.